You woke up this morning and nothing made sense. The doors that were supposed to open stayed locked. The prayers you sent up seemed to hit the ceiling and fall back down. The plans you made with such certainty now sit in ruins at your feet. And here's what nobody is telling you. This isn't random. This pause, this sudden halt, this feeling that your entire life has been put on hold while everyone else races forward. It's not a punishment. It's not evidence that you did something wrong or that the divine has forgotten your name. This is strategic. This is intentional. This is preparation. You've been taken off the battlefield not because you lost, but because what's coming next requires a version of you that doesn't exist yet. And right now, in this frustrating, confusing season of stillness, you're being rebuilt from the inside out. I know that doesn't feel comforting when your bank account is screaming and your family is asking questions. I know it doesn't make sense when everyone around you seems to be thriving while you're stuck in place. But stay with me, because what I'm about to reveal will change everything you thought you knew about divine timing. Here's the truth that the ancient texts have been trying to tell us for thousands of years. When heaven needs to prepare a vessel for massive assignment, it first removes that vessel from circulation. You're not stuck, you're being hidden. And there's a monumental difference between those two realities. One means you're abandoned. The other means you're being protected while something extraordinary is formed inside you. The mystics used to teach that before any great work, there must be great silence. Before any public victory, there must be private transformation. Before the world sees the miracle, heaven must first perform the surgery. You are in surgery right now. Let me tell you what's really happening in this season that feels like death. You think you're losing. The divine knows you're being emptied, so you can finally be filled with what you were actually meant to carry. You see closed doors. Heaven sees boundaries being drawn around your energy so that you stop giving it to people, places, and purposes that were never yours to begin with. You feel forgotten. You're actually being protected from connections and opportunities that would have destroyed the very thing heaven is trying to build in you. Here's what they don't teach you. Sometimes the greatest act of love from the universe is the removal of what you thought you needed. The job that didn't work out was going to keep you comfortable and kill your calling. The relationship that fell apart was going to dull the edge of your spiritual gift. The opportunity that vanished was actually a detour disguised as a destination. You've been crying over things that were quietly sabotaging you, and the divine, in its infinite mercy, removed them before they could complete their work. Not to hurt you, but to save you from a version of yourself that would have been successful but completely empty. Now here's where it gets deeper. The sacred writings talk about seasons of hiddenness, times when those marked for significant purpose are deliberately concealed from public view. This isn't new. This is the pattern. This is how heaven has always operated when preparing someone for influence that will outlast their lifetime. Before the great teachers emerged, they wandered in deserts. Before the prophets spoke to nations, they sat in caves. Before the leaders were crowned, they tended sheep in obscurity. Why? Because public assignment without private formation creates leaders who build empires but lose their souls. And heaven is not interested in giving you a platform if it means losing the purity of your message. The divine will keep you hidden until the work you're meant to do becomes more important to you than the recognition you hope to receive for doing it. That's the test of this season. Are you willing to be nobody in the eyes of the world while becoming everything in the secret place? Because that's what's being asked of you right now. If you're feeling this message land in your spirit, if something inside you just shifted, do me a favor. Drop a comment below and write, "I'm being prepared." Not for me, not for the algorithm, for yourself. Because when you declare it, you anchor it. And when you anchor it, you start to move differently through this season. Let me show you what's actually happening in the invisible realm while your visible reality feels frozen. First, you're being detoxified from the need for external validation. Every time a door closes and you're forced to sit with yourself, you're learning that your worth isn't tied to productivity. You're discovering that your value doesn't decrease when your output does. This is essential, Because the assignment that's coming will require you to stand alone sometimes. It will demand that you make decisions that confuse the crowd, and if you still need everyone's approval, you'll compromise the message before it's ever delivered. Second, you're being taught discernment in a way that only isolation can teach. When everything stops and everyone leaves, you finally hear the voice you've been drowning out with noise and motion. You finally feel the intuition you've been overriding with logic and fear. The divine speaks most clearly in the quiet, and you've been too loud, too busy, too surrounded by voices that aren't yours. This pause is giving you back your inner compass. Third, you're being rewired at the identity level. You came into this season thinking you were what you do. You're leaving this season knowing you are who you are, regardless of what you accomplish. That shift changes everything. Because when your identity is rooted in being rather than doing, you can't be shaken by circumstance. You can't be manipulated by opportunity. You can't be seduced by shortcuts. And fourth, this is the one that will make you weep when you finally see it. You're being positioned. While you think you're sitting still, you're actually being moved into alignment with people, resources, and moments that couldn't reach you in your old location. The divine is playing chess. You're thinking checkers. And every closed door is actually a strategic repositioning for something your current vision can't even comprehend yet. But I need you to understand something that's crucial. This season comes with an expiration date. Heaven is not going to keep you here forever. This is not your permanent address. This is a waiting room, not a prison cell. And there's something you need to do while you're here that will determine what happens when the door finally opens. You need to steward the silence. That means you don't waste this time complaining about what you don't have. You use it to become who you need to be. You don't spend these months bitter about who left. You spend them grateful for the space to hear clearly again. The old masters used to say that the size of your preparation determines the scope of your assignment. If you want small impact, skip the process. If you want generational influence, honor the hiddenness. Every single day you're in this season, you're either building or wasting. There is no neutral. You're either letting this refine you or letting it embitter you. And here's the prophecy I need you to hear. The ones who steward the wilderness well come out of it wielding authority that no institution can grant and no enemy can revoke. But before you go, chosen one, let me tell you what I see coming. I see doors that have been welded shut, suddenly swinging open without you even touching them. I see people who dismissed you scrambling to understand what happened to you in the secret place. I see provision that doesn't make logical sense. I see opportunities that aren't on your resume. I see favor that isn't based on your credentials, but on your character, which was formed in the fire you're in right now. And I see you walking into rooms you used to pray to enter, and feeling absolutely nothing. Because by the time you get there, you'll be so rooted in who you are that external validation will feel like pocket change when you're carrying treasure. That's what's coming. But only if you don't abort the process by running back to what's familiar, just because this season feels uncomfortable. Now, if this is resonating with your spirit, I need you to do something important. Subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. I don't say that lightly. I say it because the next video I release is going to reveal the 3 signs that your season of hiddenness is about to end. And if you miss it, you might misread the moment. The algorithm won't show you this content unless you tell it to. So subscribe now. This is not optional if you want the full picture. Let me give you a practical framework for how to navigate this season without losing your mind. First, document what you're learning, not what you're losing. Not what's being taken away, what you're discovering about yourself, about the divine, about how reality actually works when you're paying attention. This will become your teaching material later. The lessons you learn in private become the light you carry in public. Second, guard your inner narrative. The story you tell yourself about this season will either imprison you or prepare you. If you keep saying, "I'm stuck," you're stuck. If you start declaring, "I'm being prepared," you shift into collaboration with what heaven is doing. Your words create worlds. Speak accordingly. Third, identify what only this season can teach you. There are some lessons that only come through waiting, some strengths that only develop in stillness, some clarity that only emerges in silence. Ask yourself every morning, what is this day trying to teach me that success never could? Then pay attention, then take notes. Fourth, find the others who are also in the wilderness. You're not the only one. There's a whole company of chosen ones who are currently in seasons of preparation. Find them, encourage them, build with them. Because the assignment that's coming isn't solo. You're being prepared for collaboration with people who are also being forged in fire right now. And fifth, practice gratitude for the protection. Every closed door is protecting you from something. Every delayed answer is saving you from a wrong turn. Every loss is making space for what couldn't fit in a crowded life. Thank the divine for the no's. They're just as sacred as the yeses. If this framework is landing in your spirit, show me you're ready to apply it. Comment below, I'm ready for my next level. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your agreement with what heaven is doing. Here's what I need you to understand as we close this moment together. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. You are not being overlooked. You are being protected. You are not too late. You are right on time for the assignment only you can carry. And this season that feels like death is actually the birth canal for the most powerful version of yourself you've ever met. The ancient texts promise that those who wait on the divine will renew their strength. They will rise up with wings. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. That's not poetry. That's prophecy. That's a guarantee for those who refuse to waste their wilderness. So stop fighting the pause. Stop resenting the process. Stop comparing your chapter 12 to someone else's chapter 25. Your story is being written by a hand that knows exactly what it's doing. And every plot twist, every setback, every confusing delay is setting up a comeback that will make the waiting worth it. Trust the timeline, honor the hiddenness, steward the silence. Because what's coming next requires the version of you that's being built right now in the secret place. The doors are about to open. But not until you're ready to walk through them without losing yourself on the other side. And that readiness is being formed in you right now, in this very moment, whether you feel it or not. Your life didn't stop. It paused so heaven could upgrade the assignment. Now walk like you know that. Talk like you believe that. Live like you're being prepared for something that will outlast you. Because you are.